The objectives for this research is to acknowledge the Philippine Revolution against Spanish colonial rule and to assert the country's independence, to understand the Philippine Revolution for the establishment of an individual government that would serve the interests of the Filipino people, to acquire a wider perspective of the history of the Filipinos, to appreciate Filipinos that rise up against their oppressors and fight for their freedom, to gain insight into the situation and the author's perspective point of view. The Cry of Balintawak started in August 1896, where the members of the secret society of Katipunan planned a move against the Spaniard, marking in the beginning of the Philippine Revolution. Several events have actually transpired and led to a turning point on the 26th of August, where the tearing of cedulas was done in defiance of the maltreatment inflicted and to escape the tyranny at the hands of the Spaniards. It was Andres Bonifacio's goal to lead the Katipuneros into a battle for the nation's independence. There are many different versions of the Cry of the Balintawak. The places and the date on when the Cry of the Balintawak was held was different from each other's version, but here are some of the people who wrote about the Cry in Balintawak. Pio Valenzuela. He was born on July 11, 1869, died on April 6, 1956 at the age of 87. According to him, the Cry was held in Balintawak on August 26, 1896. He was in Balintawak and saw the event on his own eyes, but disrupted due to his fading memory, and claimed that the Cry took place on August 23, 1896 at Ugadlawin. He was a physician and he played a big role during the Philippine Revolution against the Spaniards. Camara Reina is a secret chamber of Katipunan formed by him alongside with his friends Andres Bonifacio and Emilio Jacinto. Ang Kalayaan. Ang Kalayaan is the first and only publication of Katipunan, and he is the one who took charge of the publication. He also tried to convince Jose Rizal to join them in the revolutionary movement. Santiago Alvarez. He was born on July 25, 1872, died on October 30, 1930 at the age of 56. He was also known as the Lightning of Fire or Kidlat ng Apoy. He wrote his own version of the Cry of Balintawak as Cry of Bahay Toro. According to him, the cry was in Bahay Toro on August 24, 1896. He was the commander-in-chief of the Magdiwang forces who courageously fought the Spaniards from 1896 to 1897. He was also considered the hero in Cavite because of his bravery and dedication as the commander of Cavite against the Spaniards, the Battle of Malakihan. Gregoria de Jesus. She was born on May 9, 1875, died on March 15, 1943 at the age of 67. She was also known as Aling Oryang, and she is married to our Supremo, Andres Bonifacio. She is the founder and vice president of the Women's Chapter of Katipunan. According to her, the Cry of Balintawak happens on August 25, 1896. When Andres Bonifacio died, she married Julio Napkil, one of the general of the revolution. Guillermo Magsangkay, born on June 25, 1867, died on May 30, 1963 at the age of 95. He was one of the eyewitnesses on the Cry on the Balintawak. He assisted in holding the first Labor Congress on May 1, 1913. He played a big role in the Battle of Zapote Bridge in Las Piñas. He is also a childhood friend of Andres Bonifacio. Captain Oligario Diaz. He is the commander of the Guardia Civil. He also stated in his report in the Guardian Civil that the cry happens in August 25, 1896 at Balintawak. Teodoro Calao, a nationalist scholar, legislator, journalist, educator, and historian. He wrote the book Filipino Revolution. In his book, he stated that the event took place during the last week of August 1896 at the Kangkong, Balintawak. Teodoro Agancillo, one of the most famous Filipino historian and a national scientist. He wrote in 1956 that the event took place in Pugadlawin on August 23, 1896. Also based on Pio Valenzuela's statement. Don Vicente Samson. Don Vicente Samson is a native of Balintawak and he is also the cousin of Apolonio Samson, who is part in the revolution. He verifies the authenticity of Magsangkay's version of the first cry. He witnessed the event with his father and older brother, who were both Katipuneros. He recalled that the first cry happened on August 26. He was one of the most respected and popular person in Balintawak. He owns and manages the Samson Gravel and Sand Company. Due to the dual meaning of the word Balintawak, at the turn of the century, there is some confusion about the location of the incident. This event was formally acknowledged that occurred on August 26 at Balintawak from 1908 until 1963. In the end, the Filipino government decreed a change in Pugadlawin, Quezon City from August 26 to August 23 in 1963. The cry of Balintawak and the subsequent Philippine Revolution paved the way for the establishment of the First Philippine Republic, the first democratic government in Asia. It also served as a model for other anti-colonial struggles throughout the world. It represents a significant turning point in the country's struggle for independence, signaling the start of armed resistance against Spanish colonial rule. The event also ignited a spark of patriotism amongst Filipinos, who were inspired by the bravery and courage of those who took up arms against the colonial oppressors. Cry of Balintawak stands as the critical moment in Philippine history, representing the country's journey towards independence and self-determination. And here to commemorate the no-turning-back moments in the Philippine history, it happens that a faction of Filipinos, principally the Katipuneros, advocating the use of arms to end the 300 years of Spanish occupation, took a stand. The cry of Balintawak is a very important piece to know the grand narrative in Philippine history, even if the date and the place is accurate or not. It is not important because the cry of Balintawak tells and teaches us to fight for our freedom and not let anyone control us. Cry of Balintawak tells how the great Filipino Katipuneros loves our country. As Ambit Ocampo said, we can peg the beginning of the revolution to the very first encounter between the Katipuneros and the Guardia Civil in Balintawak on August 26, 1896. For the moment, let us leave things at that and proceed to other matters. In my opinion, it is the significance of the event rather than the date and place that makes Balintawak a landmark in our history.